Hey everyone, today we're checking out borders that stand out not for their straight lines or their natural demarcations, but for their unusual and sometimes whimsical characteristics. From a café that straddles the line between two nations to a border that cuts through an office building dividing desks between sovereign states. I'm counting down the 15 quirkiest borders in the world, starting with number 15, Atari Waga. Waga, a village divided between India and Pakistan since the partition in 1947, stands as an example of the complex relationship between these two nations. Every evening, as the sun sets on the horizon, the flag ceremony unfolds with a captivating display of military pageantry. Thousands of people gather on both sides of the border, their cheering echoes across the divide. On one side, shouts of Pakistan Zindabad fill the air, while on the other side, cries of Jai Hind resound. While amidst the fervent chants and spirited displays, tension hangs palpably here. Mimicked threats, heated glares, and aggressive posturing evoke a sense of rivalry. As the ceremony reaches its crescendo, the soldiers engage in a final choreographed sequence, marching towards each other with their purposeful strides. With loaded weapons at their side, they meet at the center, lowering their respective flags simultaneously in a symbolic gesture. For a brief moment, amid the spectacle and tension, there's a fleeting sense of camaraderie as the soldiers exchange the briefest of handshakes. Then, as quickly as it began, the gates are closed, signaling the end of the ceremony for the day. Number 14, the Slash. The border between the United States and Canada stands as one of the longest in the world, spanning a remarkable 5,525 miles from Maine to Alaska. This expansive border, traversing land, sea, and untamed wilderness, is far from just an invisible line on a map. Every year, the average American taxpayer contributes half a cent to the International Boundary Commission, ensuring the border remains more than just a concept. They're funded with an annual budget of $1.4 million. The IBC undertakes the task of maintaining the border through a unique initiative known as the Slash. This treeless zone, 20 feet wide, covers a diverse array of landscapes, from narrow islands to rugged hillsides. Now, despite its remote locations, the Slash receives regular maintenance and attention, with laborious manual efforts conducted every 6 years to keep it clear. The origins of the Slash are traced back to the 1800s, when the western section of the United States-Canada border was established at the 49th parallel. In an effort to demarcate this boundary, over 8,000 markers were laid down. While this endeavor lacked the precision of modern GPS technology, it succeeded in creating a tangible reminder of the border's existence. However, the Slash is not without its quirks. Due to the limitations of cartography at the time, the border markers were often placed in a zigzag fashion, deviating from the official 49th parallel by an average of about 295 feet. This led to irregularities such as Point Roberts and the northwest angle, adding to the border's unique character. Number 13, Antarctica. Does anybody live in Antarctica? Well, yes and no. It's the only continent on the planet without a permanent human population, but it's instead dotted with research facilities, all belonging to different nations. The continent is pretty harsh, to put it lightly, which is why it's only one of the 2 unclaimed landmasses in the world. Now, while multiple countries have a presence here and may say that they've laid claim to specific regions, they've all signed the Antarctic Treaty, which basically states that none of these claims imply any sovereignty to the nations. But with that said, there's a triple overlapping region in the northwest that Chile, Argentina, and the United Kingdom all claim. And there are 2 double overlapping regions in the northwest, one between the UK and Argentina, and another between the UK and Chile. And then there's the southwest part of the continent, which is completely unclaimed. Well, Antarctica is home to some of the strangest borders in the world because they all exist in a state of limbo, being honored without truly existing. Sort of like a Schrodinger's cat of nations. But it gets even more difficult to comprehend because while America and Russia technically have no claims to the continent today, in reality they do have the right to own any land in Antarctica they want, regardless of all the claims mentioned. So, does this make sense? Well, I guess the safe answer is no, it really doesn't. Number 12, the Siachen Glacier. So do glaciers have any value? Well, the Siachen Glacier does. This one's nestled between Pakistan and India, and it's caused one of the most futile border disputes in the world. Seeing as how it's a glacier, this small patch of ice is completely uninhabited and inhospitable. It's pretty high and nothing but snow and ice and absolutely desolate, so when a post-colonial India and Pakistan were originally laying out their borders, they just decided to say that the border was defined somewhere on the glacier, but neither side wanted to send up any people to delineate it any further. It's as simple as that. This worked well for a time, but the peace didn't last long. Pakistan started issuing permits for people to try to climb the glacier, and upon hearing this, India immediately laid claim to the entire thing, and even sent a force of 300 troops to climb the glacier and claim the cold land, just so Pakistanis couldn't climb it. Well, naturally, Pakistan had to respond, and so the country set up its own troops to try to forcefully claim some of the land itself, and the result has been a constant back and forth between the nations for decades. But all of this came at a cold cost, because the temperature mixed with the extreme elevation makes for one dangerous combo. Number 11. Haider, Alaska. Haider, Alaska occupies a unique position as the geographically easternmost and southernmost town in Alaska, reachable by car, yet it remains isolated from the rest of the state's road network. This peculiar status categorizes Haider as an inaccessible district or a practical exclave where access by wheeled traffic is only feasible through the territory of another country. The notion of inaccessible districts extends beyond Haider, finding parallels in other global locales, like Jungholz and the Kleinwassertal in Austria, accessible solely from Germany, or Ostasivis in Spain, accessible only from Andorra. These regions, defined by their geographic isolation, share a common characteristic: dependence on neighboring nations for essential services and connectivity. With a modest population of around 87 people, Haider finds itself intertwined with its Canadian counterpart, Stewart, British Columbia. Canadian services include electricity, food, and emergency assistance, and they play a vital role in sustaining Haider's livelihood. This is a symbiotic relationship that extends to commerce, with establishments in Haider accommodating both American and Canadian currency, excluding only the U.S. Post Office. The integration with Stewart, BC permeates various facets of daily life in Haider. Notably, the town adopts British Columbia's 250 area code, a testament to its close ties across the border. Furthermore, despite being located within the Alaska time zone, Haider residents synchronize their clocks with Pacific time, aligning with British Columbia's timekeeping convention. Number 10. The Valserberg Tri-Point. The Valserberg, standing proudly at 1,058 feet above sea level, reigns as the loftiest peak in the Netherlands. This geographical landmark, situated in the province of Limburg near the quaint town of Vals, holds a pivotal role beyond its commanding elevation. It serves as the epicenter of a unique convergence of national borders, marking the tri-point where Germany, Belgium, and the Netherlands intersect. Such a significant junction is dubbed Drielandpunt in Dutch, Drielanderek in German, and Trois Frontières in French. Historically, this geographical nexus even boasted a greater complexity, once serving as a quadrupoint where the territories of the Netherlands, Belgium, Neutral Morsnet, and Prussia converged. Over time, geopolitical shifts and territorial adjustments, including the incorporation of Saba into the Netherlands in 2010, have reshaped these borders. The Bodewijntoren, an iconic landmark on the Belgian side, serves as a beacon for travelers, offering a vantage point to admire the scenery. Meanwhile, the Wilhelmina Toren on the Dutch side is an example of the Queen Wilhelmina's legacy. It boasts a modern design equipped with amenities such as restaurants and forest trails. Even the names of the roads leading to this point in the Netherlands and Germany pay homage to the region's rich heritage and diverse influences. Number 9. Lake Constance. Lake Constance, known as Bodensee in German, is a remarkable natural wonder nestled in the heart of Europe. Comprising 3 distinct bodies of water, Upper Lake Constance, Lower Lake Constance, and the connecting Lake Rhine, this expansive aquatic marvel is situated at the northern foot of the Alps, where Germany, Switzerland, and Austria converge. Stretching across the borders of these 3 countries, Lake Constance has a shoreline that traverses the German states of Baden-Württemberg and Bavaria, the Swiss cantons of St. Gallen, Thurgau, and Schaffhausen, and the Austrian state of Vorarlberg. However, the precise demarcation of the national borders within the lake remains a subject of ongoing dispute. Covering a total area of about 207 square miles, when both the upper and lower lakes are considered together, Lake Constance ranks as the 3rd largest lake in Central Europe by area, surpassed only by the Lake Balaton and Lake Geneva. The Obersee, or Upper Lake, constitutes the larger portion of Lake Constance, encompassing an area of 183 square miles. This expanse spans over 35 miles in length and reaching a maximum depth of 824 feet at its deepest. Now, the lower lake, or Untersee, separated from the Obersee by the Bodenrock Peninsula, covers an area of 24 square miles. And one notable feature of Lake Constance is its connection to the Rhine River via the Sierrhein, which links the Obersee to the Untersee. This vital waterway serves as a conduit for both natural ecosystems and human activities, which facilitates transportation and trade while sustaining diverse aquatic habitats. Number 8. Busingen Enclave. Busingen am Hochrhein, often referred to simply as Busingen, is a small exclave of Germany, uniquely nestled within Switzerland. Now, despite being politically and legally part of Germany, it exhibits an extraordinary blend of German and Swiss influences, making it a fascinating geographical and cultural anomaly. Economically, Busingen is aligned with Switzerland rather than Germany, and it's the only German locality that doesn't use the euro as its official currency. Instead, Busingen operates primarily on the Swiss franc, reflecting its economic interdependence. One of the most notable features here is its dual postal system. Residents and visitors can use both Swiss and German postal codes for sending mail, highlighting the seamless integration of services. The borders between Busingen and Switzerland are completely open, allowing for free movement of people and goods. In a unique legal arrangement, Swiss police have the authority to arrest German citizens within the area and transport them into Switzerland, further illustrating the town's intertwined legal framework. Historically, Busingen nearly became part of Switzerland. In 1918, a referendum showed that 96% of the residents there voted in favor of annexation by Switzerland. However, this transition didn't happen because Switzerland didn't offer any concessions in return, and Germany chose to retain its exclave. Its status as a territorial oddity has also turned it into a modest tourist attraction. The town's intriguing geographic history and the charming riverside scenery draws visitors from both Germany and the rest of the world. This dual country identity has proven to be economically beneficial for it, enhancing its appeal and drawing a steady stream of visitors curious about its exceptional status. Moving on to number 7, Little Diomede Island. Located in the frigid waters of the Bering Strait, Alaska's Little Diomede Island, known as Ignaluk in the native language, stands as an example of human resilience in the face of extreme isolation. This remote outpost, accessible only by sea or air, is a small mesa-shaped island characterized by rocky terrain and grassy hummocks. One of the most remarkable aspects here is its proximity to Russia, with the slightly larger Big Diomede Island situated just over 2 miles away. The international date line bisects the two islands, creating a stark temporal divide. To the west lies tomorrow, as Big Diomede is 21 hours ahead of its Alaskan counterpart. But despite its remote location and inhospitable weather, Little Diomede Island sustains a small community of fewer than 100 residents, primarily Alaskan natives who maintain a traditional way of life. While some essential supplies are airlifted onto the island annually, the villagers rely solely on subsistence hunting and fishing, drawing upon centuries-old practices passed down through the generations. Life here on the island is characterized by simplicity and self-sufficiency. The village consists of modest homes clustered along the rocky shoreline, where residents endure winter temperatures that can plummet to a bone-chilling -10 degrees Fahrenheit. During the winter months, the surrounding waters freeze over, and villagers could carve makeshift runways into the ice to accommodate supply planes. As the ice melts and hunting grounds disappear, the resilient inhabitants of this little island confront an uncertain future, grappling with the challenges of preserving their cultural heritage in the face of environmental upheaval. Number 6. The Northwest Angle. Located in Canada lies Minnesota's peculiar gem, the Northwest Angle. With its population of a mere 119 people, this tiny enclave, affectionately dubbed the Angle by locals, stands out as a quirk in the tapestry of U.S. geography. The Angle owes its existence to a historical blunder dating back to the Treaty of Paris in 1783, when the boundaries of America were delineated with an unintentional stroke of geographic impossibility. Benjamin Franklin and his contemporaries, armed with the flawed Mitchell map, mistakenly placed the source of the Mississippi River at the edge of the Lake of the Woods. By the time this error was rectified, the national border had been firmly established, leaving the Northwest Angle as a whimsical byproduct. Nearly 80% of the angle is water, while the remaining land, predominantly forested, is largely held in trust by the Red Lake Indian Reservation. Accessing this remote enclave presents a logistical challenge befitting its idiosyncratic nature. For the intrepid soul seeking a more unconventional route here, the road less traveled beckons, an overland odyssey that requires a whimsical dance between two nations. Even in the absence of human presence, the bureaucratic machinery here demands acknowledgement, with travelers obliged to initiate a ritualistic declaration via futuristic videophones nestled amidst the wilderness. Number 5. Hotel Arbez. Located within the village of La Cure lies the remarkable Hotel Arbez, a charming establishment that straddles the border between France and Switzerland. Often referred to as the Hotel Arbez Franco-Suisse, this marvel embodies the rich tapestry of history and diplomacy. The origins here are as fascinating as its unique location. Its inception can be traced back to the Treaty of Paris in 1783, when the boundaries of a nascent America were delineated. However, it wasn't until the Congress of Vienna that the border dispute between France and Switzerland was finally resolved. In a stroke of diplomatic finesse, maybe, the two nations agreed to a territorial exchange, paving the way for the creation of the Northwest Angle. As the ink dried on the treaty, a French citizen named Constance seized upon the opportunity presented by the border adjustment. With astute foresight and entrepreneurial spirit, he hastily erected a 3-story structure that straddled a newly demarcated boundary. This bold move gave birth to what eventually would become the iconic Hotel Arbez. Initially serving as a grocery store on the Swiss side and a pub on the French side, the hotel underwent several transformations over the years. By 1921, the building had changed hands and undergone extensive remodeling. Since then, though, it stood as a beacon of hospitality, welcoming travelers from near and far to experience its charm and cross-border allure. Beyond the architectural novelty, though, it's steeped in a rich tapestry of anecdotes and history. From its role as a clandestine meeting place during World War II to its recent adaptations to the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, the hotel has weathered countless storms. Today, as guests travel the halls and dine in its restaurants, they're treated to a myriad of decorative elements that pay homage to the hotel's dual identity. From the flags adorning the walls to the subtle nods to its cross-border heritage, every corner of the hotel tells a story of diplomacy, ingenuity, and the enduring bond between two nations. Number 4. Peñón de Vélez de la Gomera. Peñón de Vélez de la Gomera is a minuscule rock protruding from the north coast of Africa. It stands as an example of the complexities of international borders. Measuring a mere 280 feet in length, this tiny enclave holds the distinction of being home to the world's smallest national border, a curious anomaly amidst Spain's vast expanse. While Spain has nearly 1,200 miles of land borders with neighboring countries like Portugal and France, its border with Morocco at Peñón de Vélez de la Gomera is a peculiar outlier. Despite its diminutive size, it has been a point of contention between Spain and Morocco since about 1564. Throughout history, Morocco has repeatedly laid claim to the territory, yet Spain has staunchly refused to relinquish its hold. Despite its barren and uninhabitable nature, this rocky outpost holds a strategic value for Spain, serving as a symbolic marker of its presence in the region. But what makes it truly unique, however, is its status as the site of the world's smallest land border. This distinction, further underscored by the fact that the rocky enclave was once an island until 1934, when an earthquake transformed it into a peninsula, connecting it to the Moroccan coast and solidifying its place in international border lore. Well, presently it's inhabited solely by Spanish troops responsible for its surveillance and defense. And despite its remote, inhospitable nature, the rocky outpost has not been immune to outside interference. In 2012, it was briefly invaded by a group seeking to assert Moroccan sovereignty, highlighting the ongoing tensions there. Accessible primarily by helicopter and featuring minimal infrastructure, this tiny enclave serves as a poignant reminder of the intricate geopolitical dynamics that shape our world. Number 3. Netherlands, Belgium. The border between the Netherlands and Belgium is not just any international boundary. It's an example of territorial demarcation and national identity. Unlike most borders, which are straightforward lines on a map, this one weaves through towns and even homes, creating a tapestry of enclaves and exclaves. Well, it's established in 1843 through the Treaty of Maastricht. This border was intended to bring peace and stability between the two neighboring countries. However, its unique geography has made it a subject of fascination. One of the most remarkable aspects of this border is its effect on the town of Barl, which straddles both sides of the line. Here, houses are divided by the border, with some rooms in one country and others in another. Take, for example, the house at Leuven 2 in Barl-Hertog and Leuven 19 in Barl-Nassau. Its front door sits exactly on the border, prompting authorities to designate it as both Belgian and Dutch. Well, this has resulted in some interesting legal challenges, particularly during times of conflict like World War II. During the war, the Dutch military commandeered the house, unaware of its dual nationality. When the Belgian government intervened, insisting that Dutch soldiers could sleep in Belgium but not work there, it highlighted the complexities of living on a border. Well, despite challenges, the house there has a rich history. It was built in the 17th century as a tavern called De Swan, and it's witnessed centuries of change and adaptation. Today, it stands as a symbol of the relationship between the Netherlands and Belgium. It's kind of a reminder, even in the face of political and territorial disputes, that people will find a way to coexist and thrive. Number 2. Pheasant Island. Pheasant Island is an uninhabited river island in the Bidasoa River, located between France and Spain. The administration of the island alternates between the two nations every 6 months. Now, despite its name, there are no pheasants on the island, and the name might be a misinterpretation of a French word relating to passing or toll. The conference name likely originates from the international meetings held there, most notably the signing of the Treaty of the Pyrenees in 1659, which concluded with a series of 24 conferences following the end of the 30 Years' War. A monolith was then erected in the center of the island to commemorate the meeting. While Pheasants Island is the world's smallest condominium, a territory jointly administered by two countries. In France, the position is held by the Adjunct Department Director Delegate for the Sea and Coast of the Atlantic Pyrenees and Lands, who carries the title of Viceroy of Pheasant Island, a bit of an unusual designation in the French Republic. One notable French officer with this title was Julien Viaud, better known as the writer Pierre Loti. In practice, though, the island is administered by both mayors of the Spanish and French regions. As of January 2018, the island measured about 660 feet in length and 130 feet in width and was eroding. At low tide, the island can sometimes be reached on foot from the Spanish side. It is uninhabited and access is generally forbidden, except on Heritage Open Days. Municipal government employees visit the island every 6 months for maintenance, and members of the naval commands of San Sebastian of Spain and Bayonne of France on it every 5 days for monitoring purposes. Number 1. Devon Castle. Devon Castle is situated in Devon, a borough of Bratislava, the capital of Slovakia. This site has been inhabited since the Neolithic Age, and it's been fortified since the Bronze and Iron Age, with later occupation by Celts and Romans. It's perched on a cliff with an elevation of about 700 feet, and the castle overlooks the confluence of the Danube and Morava rivers. Devon Castle straddles the border between Slovakia and Austria, with the Morava River and Danube forming the frontier. Before 1989, the Iron Curtain divided the area, with the castle situated just inside Slovak territory. The Maiden Tower, a tiny watchtower perched on a lone rock, is a popular subject for photographs, and it's inspired numerous legends. Inside the castle, though, visitors can encounter a complex of walls, staircases, open courtyards, and gardens in various states of decay. Its first mention in written sources likely dates back to 864 during the reign of Louis the German. It played significant defensive roles during the Great Moravian period and was the site of a pre-Romanesque church built around 850 AD. In the 13th century, a stone castle was constructed to protect the western frontier of the Hungarian kingdom, and over the centuries, ownership of the castle changed hand multiple times. The castle was reinforced during conflicts with the Ottoman Empire, but it lost its military importance after Hungary joined the Habsburg monarchy and the Ottomans were defeated. Well, Devon Castle holds a special place in Slovak national identity, and it's inspired romantic poets and nationalists, and its significance is reflected in its depiction on the former Czechoslovak currency and Slovak coins. Archaeological excavations at the site here have uncovered remains dating from the 1st century AD, including a Roman tower and evidence of prehistoric settlement, which only adds to the historical and cultural richness of Devon Castle. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. Thank you to our channel members.